Daf Chaf Beis Amraf. Did you actually look up any of this type of business?
Such a fascinating leader, just with a simple word explanation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. My pleasure. I was so upset that you missed it. That's why I had to leave a message on phone. Yes. All right. You will find Yerushalmi is fascinating. Nasa Barosh. Yes. You start. So this is the second line. So two dots on Chav Beis Amraf. Do you have it? Nasa Barosh Ilan. Now Kara Barosh Akundas. Now this halacha, you make an Erev Tchumen. You have to put the Erev Tchumen in a place which hypothetically could be accessible to Bein Hashmashos on Erev Shabbos. Now Bein Hashmashos on Erev Shabbos, of course, is the time when you're allowed to transgress the Rabbanans. Rabbanan were not gozer on things Bein Hashmashos. So if, for example, you put an Erev up on a tree, you're not allowed to climb a tree on Shabbos proper, but you're allowed to climb a tree Bein Hashmashos. So when is your Erev Tchumen Koine? Erev Shabbos Bein Hashmashos. So therefore, an Erev on top of a tree is a valid Erev. Now, Nasa Barosh Akon Barosh Kundas, what if you don't put it on top of a tree, but put it on top of a flagpole? Kone or Kundas, Kozmanchu Tolush Venotes. As long as at one time it was uprooted from the ground, and then it was plugged back in again, even if it's 100 Amos tall, it's a valid Erev. Why is that? It's why don't it need to be uprooted? The reason why you need something to be uprooted and then replanted is then you're allowed to climb it. You're allowed to climb a flagpole on Shabbos, even though you're not allowed to climb a tree on Shabbos, right? But the thing is, it's pashut. Even a tree is mutter because it's talking about Bein Hashmashos. So why didn't he dafka to be uprooted and replanted in the ground? If it's a tree, if it's Bein Hashmashos, even a tree is mutter. So it says the Gemara, so as the Gemara, Leis Pliga al the Shmuel, and besides, it must be that we're talking about a case where the pole is Rishus HaYachid and below is Rishus HaRabim. Because if below it's Rishus HaRabim and the top is Rishus HaYachid, then to take your Erev down would be a Malach D'Oraisa. Or to take your Erev down is a Malach D'Oraisa. In that case, it's not even Mutter Bein Hashmashos, right? Again, if it's just a question of a tree, so then it's a D'Rabbanan, right? If it's a question of climbing up the tree. But here it must be talking therefore about a D'Oraisa. How's it going to be the rice of the top is Rishus HaYachid? So what? Like a treehouse, or even if there's a platform on top, that's what we're going to talk about. So it says more, Leisa Pliga Shmuel, Tamar Shmuel, B'Shem Damar, it's not only a Shmuel, Damar Rabbi Yehuda, B'Shem Shmuel, Rabbi Yehuda, same name as Shmuel, Tipoter, V'Ois Shoysa Kiros Arba, the only time when it's on top of the tree, when it's Rishus HaYachid, when it's not about Erev, is when the top of the tree is Rishus HaYachid. When it's the top of the tree Rishus HaYachid, only when the tree itself is 4x4. A flagpole is never 4x4. Flagpole is very narrow, right? It's a koner or a kundas. So how does it become Rishus HaYachid? So it says Gemara, Tani Rabbi Lezer, so Amraimona, Fushatei Tavla Nasuna Barosha. We're talking about where there's a platform on the top. Now this is a very controversial Yerushalmi. In the Bavli this wouldn't wash. Because in the Bavli we say it's not so pashut that if you have a platform on top of a pole that becomes a Rishus HaYachid. Right? We have to have mechitzas. It doesn't have mechitzas, right? So we say some cases would say hajar mechitzta. It's as if they're walls because the pole is a wall, but it's a very questionable thing. The tavla is 4x4. No, it's 4x4 above 10 tefachim. It's never a Malkum Torah if it's 4x4. And I'll tell you, above 10 tefachim, which is less than 4x4, is a Malkum Torah. You familiar with the difference between Malkum Torah and Rishus HaYachid? Malkum Torah is an exempt area. Exempt, there are 4 Rishus for Shabbos. Rishus HaYachid, Rishus HaRabim, Carmel is a Malkum Torah. Malkum Torah is an area which is neither Rishus HaYachid nor Rishus HaRabim, where you're allowed to carry from Rishus HaYachid or from Rishus HaRabim but you're not allowed to carry from Rishus Yochid to Rishus Rabim, or vice versa through a Mokum P'tur. Carry from each one into Mokum P'tur, but not through it. Now, Mokum P'tur is any area which is more than 10 Tvachim high, but less than 4 by 4 Tvachim. That's called the Mokum P'tur. Okay? And I'm sorry, even if it's less than 10 Tvachim, anything area even more or less than 10 Tvachim high, which is less than 4 by 4 Tvachim in dimensions. So this has to be more than 4 by 4 at the top in order to be considered to be a Rishus HaYachid. Okay? Says Gemara further, Tanya Rebbe Lezer says, Im basode ovad ene ruvo eruv. Now, this is going back to the Mishnah. The Mishnah said that what happens if you had your Eruv Tchumen locked, or do you not have the place? It's by a little asterisk. Tanya Rebbe Lezer Im basode ovad. Let's say you had your Eruv Tchumen in a closet, and you locked the closet, and you lost the key. Okay? So you're Shlamazel. That's A. But now that you're Shlamazel, is your Erev Tchumen about Erev Tchumen or not? Okay? So Tanya Lezer Im Basode Avad. Let's say you lost your key out in the field, and Erev Tchumen is in the city. So in Eruv Erev is not about Erev. Why? Because the key you could not get from the hypothetical position of the key to the place where the Erev is. Now, of course, this must be talking about whether there's a true Rishus Harabim in the middle. Because if there isn't a true Rishus Harabim in the middle, of course, you're allowed to carry in a Carmelis in an area which is not true Rishus Harabim Ben Hashmashos. Again, the Nori Soid Rabbanim Ben Hashmashos. So it's talking about a case you lost it out in the field beyond the city, and there's a Rishus Harabim between you and the city, so you can't get it back home. Okay? So in that case, your Erev Tchumen is not about Tchumen. However, in Ba'ir Avad, if you lost it in the city, Harez Eruv, it is about Eruv. Hypothetically, you could find the key and bring the key through all sorts of back alleys, which are not Rishus Harabim, to the place where Erev Tchumen is, and then therefore it's a valid Erev Tchumen. Yos Omar, I skipped, right? I skipped. Now the Gemara explains what I just explained. You can't bring it and still fulfill the mitzvah of Shabbos. Derech Shvisa means the way which is mutter on Shabbos. If you lost in the city, you can bring it away which exempts you from the mitzvah of Shabbos. Yo, Summer Rabbi Lazar, Taka, that's good. So my time at the Rebbe. Why does Rebbe say it's an Erev nonetheless, regardless of whether you can find the key or not? So I'm Rabbi Bob Raid Rab Puppy to Rabbi Meir. I'll tell you why. It's Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir said if you have a warehouse on Yotif, it's got fruit in it and you want the fruit, you can go knock down the warehouse. So to here, you want to get the Erev Tchumen, you can go knock down the closet or the house, whatever it is. Says Gemara, you can go knock down your warehouse and get out your fruit on Yom Tov. Says Gemara, wait a minute. When did Meir say that on Yom Tov? Dilma b'Shabbos? Do you think you would say anything on Shabbos? Why in Yom Tov should be mutter and not on Shabbos? Yaakov. Why in Yom Tov should be mutter and not on Shabbos? Why in Yom Tov should be mutter knock down a building to get food, but not on Shabbos? Ochel Nevesh, right? So we are here to have an Erev Tchumen though on Shabbos. So you can't, just because you can knock down a warehouse on Yom Tov, you can't knock it down on Shabbos. So what's there to here to say it's a valid Erev if it's locked away in the building? Okay? So it says the Gemara, Rav Mori said, the Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. It's like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. So Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, Omer Kosh Lifnei Behem Shushalil Teitzei. You're allowed to tie a corral closed on Shabbos in order that an animal shouldn't go out. Hikshira hinihla, and locking and closing with a rope are the same parameters. Now it's a very strange line. What does that mean? So Reb Chaim Kanievsky says maybe it means that we're talking about a lock made out of rope. And just like you're allowed to close a rope on Shabbos, so you're allowed to open a rope. But that's very difficult because there's whoever heard of a rope lock. By the way, the Perush Chai in Eruvin does try and draw a picture of a rope lock. because Tosfos brings down this Yerushalmi, so he tries to give a picture of how you have a rope lock. But Lieberman gives a very nice pshat. He says the pshat is like this. Pshat. He says, if you tie a corral closed on Shabbos, that's called building a wall. So you see, you're allowed to build a wall on Shabbos. A temporary wall, granted, but it's like building a wall, right? So it must be that if you're allowed to build a temporary wall of a rope, you must be allowed to build a temporary wall of any other sort. And if you're allowed to build it, you must be allowed to take it down. So you must be allowed to untie the rope. If you're allowed to untie the rope, you must be allowed to undo any temporary wall. Well, the wall of a closet is a temporary closet. A closet is made to be opened and closed. It's not sealed. So therefore, you'd be allowed to break down this door on Shabbos as well. That's how to extrapolate. Just like you're allowed to tie the rope, you'd be allowed to close the door. Just like you're allowed to untie the rope, you'd be allowed to open the door. That's the extrapolation. What? It's a question if there is such a thing. A lock made out of ropes. What? Well, the thing is, it's kind of not burglar-proof, a rope lock. You just cut through it with a knife. So it's possible, that there is such a thing, like a bicycle chain lock. But so that would be the alternative to that we were talking about such a lock.
You don't have to work on like shiur or any of the other.
Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says it's okay. That's the chiddush here, because it's not a shiur which is a shiur on miskayemes. It's not a permanent shiur. So too here, even if you use that's what Lieberman is saying, that even if you used a regular lock and you lock the doors, you didn't mean it to be miskayem. You meant to be able to take your Erev Tchumen. So therefore, just like you didn't mean to be miskayem as a lock, you're allowed to break down the door also. Okay? It says Yerushalmi further. You know what? All the problems that you're experiencing are only by a stone closet. However, if it's a wooden closet, anyway, you're allowed to break it open on Shabbos. Why is that? Because the halacha is you're allowed to break open a barrel in order to drink what's in it, or in order to take, as the Yerushalmi says here, take figs or dates out of it. So too, if you have a barrel which holds your Erev Tchumen, or a closet which holds your Erev Tchumen, you're allowed to break it open. Well, of course, this is our heter to break open all sorts of food packaging on Shabbos, because it's right. Your shiur is a chavis lochem and gogeres. So to look in the larger scheme of things, this closet is like a chavis which holds a gogeres. You'd be allowed to open it up on Shabbos as well. Okay, halacha down. What if you had chometz? Not chometz. Getting mixed up with the morning daf yomi. What? Any package, yeah. Chaznish is chometz when you're making a keli out of it by opening it up. So then obviously you're just breaking the keli. So that was different. Nowadays the question of making a keli, well, that's not the issue here. Obviously Yerushalmi is talking about. You put an Erev Tchumen and it rolled outside the Tchum. It itself rolled outside the Tchum. An avalanche followed upon it. On this never got burnt up. Oh, Truma was Truma, V'nidmes it became Tomei. Maybe the Yom that happened before Shabbos began. It's not about Erev. Mishchashev, what happened after Shabbos began, or is Erev, because everything happens at the point that Shabbos begins. Im Sofi, what else if it's a Sofi? You don't know. Right, Rabbi says you have no Erev. Now, man, this is critical in the Gemara. Not only do you have no Erev, you're stuck. You can only move Dalet Amos from your place on Shabbos. Why is that? Because you thought you were going to acquire your place for Shabbos where you put your Erev Tchumen down. You didn't. But when you put that Erev Tchumen, you intended to lose your original place, which was your home. So you lose on both counts. You lost your home and you lost your Erev place. So you have no place. Wherever you go, that's where you are for all of Shabbos. Wherever you are when Shabbos begins. That's where you must remain full of Shabbos. Chamar Gamal means you're like a donkey pulling in one direction and a camel pulling in another direction, you're stuck. Rabbi Yosef Shimon Omer, they both said, Safik Eruv Kosher. We have a Safik Eruv Kosher, so we're Machshir, Misafik. Right? It's like any other Safik to Rabbanan, we're Mekel. I'm a Rabbi Yosef, truth is I shouldn't have told you that. So I should have let Yerushalmi tell you that, because it's going to be a discussion. I'm Rabbi Yosef said, Heid Avtolus, a certain Tana named Avtolus, testified, Mishum Chamishas came, named 5 elders, Shesafik Erev Kosher, that a Safik Erev is Kosher. Okay? Says the Gemara, Lo Amo Ela V'nit Meis. The Mishnah said, it became Tomei. We know for sure it became Tomei. Safik Nit Meis Mibod Yom, Safik Nit Meis Michashecha. Well, we just don't know if it became Tomei prior to being Shabbos or after Shabbos began. Right? That's what Yerushalmi is speaking about. But what if you have a substance which to begin with was Safik Tomei Torah or Safik Torah? In other words, our mission talking about we took something Vadai Torah and then it became Vadai Tomei, but I don't know when it became Tomei. What if you took a substance to begin with, which was Truma, where it makes a difference, and you don't know if it's Tomei or Torah? Can you make an Erev on something which is Safek to Truma Tmeya? The Ve'er Shmuel Baram Nachman Shem Rabbi Yonasan said, Achar Chazaka Sochu. Depends what its Chazaka was. If it had a Cheskas Tara, you can use it. If it didn't have a Cheskas Tara, you can't use it. Whereas if it was known at one point definitively to be Torah, you can continue using it as Erev Tchumen. It was never known definitively to be Torah, you can't use it for Erev Tchumen. Okay, now the truth is, what I just told you is Lieberman's shot. Everybody else has a different shot, but that fits in the best, so that's okay. The Rabbi Shmuel again, Rabbi Shmuel Nachman said, they just have a different shot how to put the punctuation. Receiving Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shimon. So our man Rabbi Yehuda asked, they who said that if you put down an Erev which is no good, right, if it's Safek, you lose all sides, right? They asked Rabbi Yehuda and they asked Rabbi Yosef Shimon, who said that a Safek Erev is kosher. The following question: Hey guys, I got a question for you. You put down an Erev and it's consumed before Shabbos. Is it a kosher Erev or not a kosher Erev? Of course, it's no good, right? It can't be consumed before Shabbos, right? So, why is this here okay? Here we're afraid that maybe it came Tomei before Shabbos began. If it's Tomei, it's like it was eaten up. It's like eaten up, it's not a valid Erev, so why is it good? Says more, no. They answer, you have a cheskas kashrus. When you put it down, it was okay, right? When you put it down, it was good. Later on, it became Tomei. Say you have a chazaka. Well, the chazaka said it was his Torah as long as possible. So therefore, we assume it was Torah when Shabbos began, and it's a valid Erev Tchumen. Okay? Receiving Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Meir. Now, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shimon asked Rabbi Meir the opposite question. Rabbi Meir, the opposite question. If you ate it after Shabbos began, isn't it mutter? In other words, the moment Shabbos begins, you're allowed to eat your Erev Tchumen. Shabbos began, it acquired for you your Tchum Shabbos. That's it, you're allowed to eat it. So why are you guys aser a Safek Erev? Say the Safek Erev is kosher and Shabbos began. What's the problem? So I may Rabbi the answer. Our perspective is the exact opposite. So they say that that's the difference between Yerushalmi and Bnei Brak. Yerushalayim, everything is mutter until proven osir. In Bnei Brak, everything is osir until proven mutter. So Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda, they're from Bnei Brak. They say, Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda say, unless the Chatchila you didn't have a new tchum. You want to get a new tchum, you have to prove, the burden of proof is upon you that when the Erev was put down, it's a valid Erev. You can't prove that, you don't get a valid Erev tchum. Okay? Now, can I give him a 2,000 amos from his Eruv to his house? Now, the truth is that I already let the cat out of the bag, that we don't give it to him. But it's machlokas. In other words, the guy's Eruv is no good. Does he at least have 2,000 amos to go home? In other words, or is he stuck? And wherever he is, he only has 4 amos. So it's machlokas. Right? We gave him 2,000 amos to go home. Says the Gemara, you should know. That's only a machlokas according to Rabbi Meir in our Mishnah. But like Rabbi Yehuda, not in our Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda in our Mishnah is Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda in another Mishnah. Truth is, I just made a mistake. Mapli and Rabbi Meir is not Rabbi Meir in our Mishnah either. It's a man, Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda different Mishnah. Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda in our Mishnah both agree that if you put down an air which is a suffix, it's no good. However, Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda have a different machlokas in another Mishnah. The Mishnah is like this. The Mishnah is in Perek Dal and Mishnah Dal. We haven't gotten there yet. It says there, I'm coming on a road, Friday night. It's getting dark. I despair. I sit down. I fall asleep. The next day I get up, I see I'm right next to a city. I'm right next to a city. Okay, within 2,000 amos of a city. So I fell asleep before Shabbos began. I gave a pope. I fell asleep before Shabbos began. I was asleep throughout the main Hashmoshos. Then I wake up, I see a city. Okay, so what happens in that case? Rabbi Meir says you're stuck. You can't go into the city. Even though had you known that there was a city there, you would have intended to be Kohen Shvisa, where you are, and 2,000 amos from that place to get you into the city. You didn't see it, and you were sleeping ben hashmashos. You don't get it. Rabbi Yehuda says you get 2,000 amos even though you were asleep, and you get to go into the city. Okay? So in this case, like Rabbi Yehuda, of course, the guy can get 2,000 amos back to his house. We give a guy 2,000 amos even if he doesn't know that he wants it. So the truth is, Rabbi Yehuda and our Mishnah would have to say the same thing. When Rabbi Yehuda, now I'm thinking out loud, it said in our Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda raised a chamar gamal, but it's a different chamar gamal according to Rabbi Yehuda than according to Rabbi Meir. According to Rabbi Yehuda, in the Mishnah in Perek Dalet, since if he falls asleep, we give him the 2,000 amos. Even though he didn't know about it, we give him Makom Shvisa to give him 2,000 amos. So too here, where his Erev is not good, we say, okay, you didn't know that though. So therefore we give you your house as your Makom Erev. Because your house is 2,000 amos away, so we let you go back to your house. But according to our mayor over there, who says when you fall asleep, and then intend to acquire Shvisa, you only have Daled amos when you wake up, even though there's this city 5 amos away from you. You can't go there because you had no intent to acquire Shvisa. We don't give it to you automatically. So according to our mayor, who says that over there, we don't give it to you. What about here? Here, what's the status? Here you knew. Here it's somewhat different. That's why there's a machlokas. You knew you had a city which you lived. You tried to make an Erev Tchumi 2,000 amos away. That Erev doesn't work. Do I say it's just like over there where you can't go back to your own city? Do I say here it's different? Because here, since he knows of his original location, so his subconscious intent is that if his Erev doesn't work, he wants to default down to his own house. As opposed to there where he doesn't know of the existence of the city adjacent to where he's falling asleep. Okay? So that's the issue. Again, Mapli and Grimer, like Grimer later on who says, we don't give a sleeper any 2,000 amos, even 5 amos we don't give him. So according to him, the shot is, do we give this guy the right to go back home when his Erev turns out to be no good? But according to Rabbi Yehuda, who says over there, we even give a sleeper to 2,000 amos, certainly according to him, over here we give the guy enough amos to get back home. In other words, when he loses his Erev, he can still go back home. And therefore, it's right here explicitly in the next page in the Gemara. I'm embarrassed. V'lo dami chamar gamal d'Rabbi Meir v'chamar gamal d'Rabbi Yehuda. Even though Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda both said in our Mishnah it's chamar gamal, it's two separate chamar gamals. Like Rabbi Meir, chamar gamal means you're tugged in all directions, you don't get to move at all. Like Rabbi Yehuda, you're tugged in all directions, yes, but you get the 2,000 amos back to your house. Not more than that, but that you do get. Okay? Rabbi Yehuda chamar v'gamal. According to Rabbi Yehuda, was chamar. I'm sorry. Let me start from the Yom again. Chamar gamal Rabbi Yehuda. Chamar gamal. Now here the Reb Chaim Kanievsky changes the next word. Should be chamar gamal the Rabbi Yehuda, not the Rabbi Meir. The chamar gamal Rabbi Yehuda. Beruvo eino. He doesn't get his Eruv because the Eruv was a Safek, and a Safek Eruv is no good. Shelo zachol Eruv lakor es raglo mibnei Eruv. His Eruv didn't give him the right to uproot his feet from where his city is, and make him different than the members of his city. So he defaults down to the members of his city. In other words, he wanted with his Eruv to give himself 2,000 amos more in that direction. That he doesn't get. So he goes back to he reverts to being like the members of his city. However, Chamar Gamal here to Rabbi, and here we change it to Rabbi Meir, Shenosan Daito Lakor Eragla Mibneiro, since he was no Saint Das, since he intended to uproot himself, so he loses everything. And wherever he is, where Shabbos begins, he has only 4 amos from there. So again, the difference between the different Chamar Gamalos is, according to Rabbi Meir, he intended to be Eiker Raglov only if he could actually be, only if he had a valid Eruv, but if not, he defaults down. Like Rabbi Meir, once he was nice and das to leave the status of the members of his city, that's it. There's no defaulting down. Where he finds himself, that's where he's stuck. Okay, Tamon Tzninon. You, Mrs. Zuger, you with us?
No.
Tom is here. You doing okay, Yaakov? What?
I'm not really.
It doesn't get better.
I just like it's kind of hard to just dive into those
Erev Tchumen.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about Erev Tchumen?
Not much. The basics.
All you have to know is that if you want more than it's okay. I've fallen asleep on tape so many times, it's beyond embarrassment already. It's 2,000, you have normally 2,000 amos. To extend it, you get another 2,000 amos. You have to have valid Erev Tchumen from before Shabbos begins, which is good at Bein Hashmoshos. You're talking about where you had a suffix, where the Erev is good or not. So now we have a machlokas, whether you suffix Erev is kosher, and if it's not kosher, do you still have 2,000 amos from your city, or you lose everything, and you only have 4 amos wherever you find yourself when Shabbos begins. That's all we did in the past Talmud in a nutshell. Okay. So it says about more further. Tamati, we learned over there. Sveikotar. This is talking about a mikveh. Now, later on, it's going to be apparent that for some reason we're talking about a tumah d'Rabbanan, but it's talking about a mikveh. You have a mikveh which is safek kosher, safek tameh, safek kosher, safek pasul. You don't know how 40 star or not. You were tameh, a tumah d'Rabbanan. You dove in. You don't know what your status is now, right? Because the mikveh is a safek. Safek tameh, safek tar, right? Sveiko Torah, Rabbi Yossi Mitameh says you're Tomei, Rabbi Yoina Mitameh. Rabbi Yossi says you're Tomei. Rabbi Yoina Lo Tim Rabbi Yossi Elam Mishum Huchach. Rabbi Yossi was only Mitameh because it's clear that you were definitely Tomei before him. In other words, there's a subtlety which I didn't make clear. It's a kasha. There we say Safik is Tomei. Here Rabbi Yossi said a Safik Erev is kosher. So what's the difference? Why in our mission Rabbi Yossi say a Safik Erev is kosher? Yet there by Safik Tumah, Rabbi Yossi said Safik Tameh is Tameh. Right? Well, say the same thing. It should be consistent.
And that the Gemara says, no, there it's huchach. There was a chazaka that he was tamei previously. Huchach means demonstrable. Muchach. So since there was demonstrable that he was tamei, that's why, in order to lose that status as tamei, you got to have a definite tahara. But by us, in our case, it was never huchach that the Erev was no good, so that's why the Erev still remains valid. Okay? Says the Gemara further, Amar Rabbi, and here it says Yoina again, but obviously it's a mistake. The Pnei Moshe changes to Yosi. Rabbi Yosi, Vafilu Mokom Echad, Rabbi Yosi Matami. Even in a place where it's not Huchach, Rabbi Yosi is Matami. And the Gemara is going to ask on that. But I got to tell you a beautiful pshat here for Lieberman. Beautiful change in Girsa. He says, Lieberman is this fellow here. Lieberman is Saul Lieberman. He was the professor of Talmud at Jewish Theological Seminary, and he wrote this wonderful, wonderful book on Shabbos, Eruvin, and Psachim in the Yerushalmi.
This is on tape too.
Right. Which demonstrates what a tragic loss it was to Torah Jewry that he went over to JTS as opposed to staying from, because this sefer is extraordinary. And there was probably not a single person in JTS today, faculty or student, who would know what side of the book to open it up on, let alone how to read it. That compensated, I think. So he did a fantastic job in collecting various different Rishonim and proposing various different Perushim on those three Masechtas. Now, he says like this. It's a beautiful pshat. He says, what really we're talking about, there's the differences between whether you have one mikveh or two mikvahs. If you have one mikveh, which we're not sure if it's kosher or possible, or two mikvahs, one of which is kosher and one of which is possible. Where you have one which is two mikvahs, that's huchach. What does huchach mean? You know that one of them is possible. It's opposed to one mikveh, which is maybe. So Rabbi Yossi is only with Tami where it's huchach, where it's known that one mikveh is possible. As opposed to somewhere where you have only one mikveh, you don't know if it's kosher or possible. And that's what it says here. But he changes the girsa here. And what does it say? It says, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yossi, va'afilu b'mikveh echad, not mokom acher, mikveh echad, Rabbi Yossi matami. Even in one mikveh, where it's not huchach. By the way, in the Lomdisha lingo, where you have two mikvahs, one which is kosher, one is possible, that's called ikva isura. There's something definite also here. The parallel in the Bavli, ikva. Parallel in Bavli, the classic case of Bavli is you have two pieces of meat. One is chaylev and one is shuma, you don't know which one you ate. As opposed to a case of lo ikva isura, which is where you have one piece of meat, you ate, but you don't know if it's chaylev or shuman. So the whole machlokas in Kachim, I forget which Masechta, I think Tmura, but I forget which Masechta. The whole machlokas, maybe it's Kritzis. I don't think fully. So machlokas when you're chayv in Oshim Toli. Is it only in the case of ikva yisura, or even in the case where lo ikva yisura? Oshim Toli bringing a safik avera. The question if it's on a safik avera only where it's huchach, where it's definitely one piece aser, or it's even a case where it's lo huchach, where it's only one piece, so you're not sure if it's aser or not. But where there are two pieces, one of which is for sure aser, so that's a much more severe case than one piece. You don't know if it's aser or not. So in any event, so here we said afilu mokom acher or mikveh echad, even if it's one piece, Rabbi Yossi mitame. Mechav v'shitasi to Rabbi Yossi. It's a contradiction in Rabbi Yossi. The next two words are superfluous; they just repeat the repetitious. It's a typo. Tzina and Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi said in our Mishnah, "Hey, Avtos b'shem chamishas kenim shesafik eruv kosher." That a safik eruv is kosher. Yet over there, he said it's tamei by a safik tuma, right? So how do we reconcile the two? Says more very very balbatish answer. Tama b'shem garmei. There, in the case of Kochitaris, it's he himself.
He himself holds a Safik is Tameh. Lachmir. Here, it's B'Shem Chamish's Kate's name of the 5 elders. They said it's Tahor. Okay? So it's 2 different opinions. They wanted to say, the 2 things should be connected. You said over there, by mikvos, that you're Tor. You have a suffix if you're toivel in the kosher mikvah or not, you're Tor. So say you have a suffix if it's kosher or not, you're Tor. Madamar Tam and Tame, who says over there Tame, he would say over here you also. In other words, the two sugyas should be consistent. Says where no. Vafilu Madamar Tam and Tame, even though he who says over there you're Tame, Modu mutter. He says here that it's mutter. Why? Again, because it's not huchach. Over there, it's definite. One of them is for sure Tame. It's huchach. Here it's not uchach. Here there's no necessity, no compelling determining factor, which tells us the hair was tummy at the time Shabbos began. So over here remains okay. Am Rabbi Chani Yechinina, hum inim pliin tamon. Says the Gemara, hey. Says the Rechina, there's no comparison anyway. There, where they're arguing, it's about Lomi Divrei, it's not talking about Safik Tumah de Rabbana. Certainly the Rabbana. The Safik Divrei Lokil. Ve'el Dvar Teileh! And they have Tchumen is the Raisa. So therefore, Safik Divrei Toachmi, here should be Machmi. Now, the truth is, it's not so partial. What's Mr. Zuger, what's the share of Tchum de Raisa? Tchum de Raisa. How far you can go on Shabbos? The Raisa, how far can you go? No, it's the Rabbana.
What?
How far can you go to the Raisa?
It's the Raisa?
Torah level.
What?
12 times 2,000. The thing is, Yerushalmi doesn't know that yet. Yerushalmi assumes right now that Tchum is Doraisa. 2,000 Amos is Doraisa. He'll figure it out. By the time we get to Omer Beitz, he'll figure it out. But that, he's saying, even though we're Meko there, by Tumah, by Din Rabbanan, here it's a Din Doraisa, how can we Meko, right? So it says, Yerushalmi, Ver Dvar Rabbi Yosef Merkumi, Rabbi Chia, Ruba, V'Shem, Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Yosef said, name Rabbi Chia the Great. The name Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Yosef ben Lakunia. Loki Tchum Shabbos Taval Torah. If one goes far in Tchum Shabbos to Raisa, Tchum Shabbos, we flog the guy. Give him Malchus to Raisa. Amar Rabbi Chia Ruba said, there's no such thing. V'lo im b'Shabbos el skila v'kores. Either you get skila or kores, or you're exempt. There's no Malchus. Amar Lei, now the Negirsa here is messed up. So take a look at the Korban Eid, he fixes the Girsa, where it says Hachi Garcinon 3, 6, 10, 11 lines from the bottom of the Korban Eid. See that hate Hachi Garcinon is the third word in the line, fourth word in the line. See Mrs. Zuger? Hachi Garcinon. Hachi Garcinon. Amar Lei, so Rabbi Chia said, Rabbi Yonatan said, how can you say there's no lav? Says everybody sit where you are, don't leave your place on Shabbos. Says don't leave, that's a lav, you have to get Malchus. Amar Lei, so he said that's not a lav. Maksiv lo, does it say don't? It says al. Who told you al is a lav? When the Torah says a lav, it says lo. Al is a different kind of word. So amazing concept. We never had this before. That al is different than lo. Al is lo reversed, right? But Rabbi Chia says al is not a lav. It means it should not be done, but not don't do it. Okay? It's improper. Al, not right. No, we don't pass it. We don't pass it in Malchus on Tchum either. We pass it al is a lav. We pass it, you don't get Malchus on Tchum. Because it's 12 mil, right? Oh, I take that back. If you do 12 mil, you will get Malchus. Yeah. So that we don't go 12 mil. So it says more, it says by Purim Pesach, don't eat it raw.
Maksiv lo, to say lo, Alksiv, says al, and there you do get Malchus. You Korban Pesach raw, you do get Malchus. So we see clearly that al is a lav. So going back to Yerushalmi inside, 3 lines to the bottom, even though Rabbi Yonasan brought a good proof that there's a lav, right? Because he said, you see by Korban Pesach that al is a lav. Don't eat it raw. Nonetheless, maybe shmosel, maybe shmosel. Nobody reneged here. Rabbi Chia holds you don't get Malchus on Tchum. Rabbi Yonasan holds you do get Malchus on Tchum. Rabbi Shmuel bar Sisrato. Eruv also kasafik cheresh. And Eruv is like a dumb suffix. Now, dumb suffix by Tuma is a special halacha. If a Tuma occurs by cotton generated a question of suffix Tuma. And cotton ain't bodas lishoyel. He's not intelligent enough to ask him questions. So special halacha l'mosh mitzinai, you assume it's tahor. Okay? Special halacha l'mosh mitzinai. It's kind of like suffix Tuma v'shus arab mitzveiko tahor. So halacha l'mosh mitzinai. So to suffix ain't bodas lishoyel, halacha l'mosh mitzinai, you assume it's tahor. Okay? So Rabbi Yirmiyah, so here too, by Erev Tchumen, if you don't know what happened, you assume it's okay. You assume it's about Erev. Rabbi Yirmiyah, boy, that's good. Akadu Mekayim. That's good if you have Safik came Tomei or not, because that's a principle by Tuma. Safik Einbel Das Lishor, which doesn't have the intelligence to answer the question. But what about Bekayim Ba'afil Nisraf? Is that true even if it got burnt up? In other words, I have a Safik where the Erev Tchumi got burnt up. Can I would say it's like Safik Cheresh? It's not comparable. It's not a Tuma issue. So I'm Rabbi Yossi said, yeah. You know why? Kiamte, I sustain this principle that by Safik Erev Tchumi Mekil, Kai Demar Rabbi Yossi. Like that Rabbi Yossi said. Hiyucha, when you reach Sof Tchumei Shabbos, when you try and determine the end Tchumei Shabbos, you should know that the Sheina Mechuvarim Midivatar, it's not clear me the rights of what the Tchum is. At 2,000 Amos, though, is definitely not the Tchum. So therefore, 2,000 Amos is Tchum. The true 2,000 Amos is only the Rabbanan. So if it's Rabbanan, Lukula, right? But inside the Rabbanan, you make Rabbanan boy Nicha Paimam. Rabbanan said, okay, maybe 2,000 Amos is not the right stuff. But you want to give 4,000 Amos. Paimam Mechuvaru. You want to let the guy go 4,000 Amos by virtue of your Erev Tchumen. That certainly is clear that it's an Issa D'Oraisa. Says the Yerushalmi, no. Rishim Bar Kasim, Rishim Rabbi Yachal said, there's nothing which is truly D'Oraisa. Mechuvar means clear me D'Oraisa. El Tchum 12 mil b'machne Yisrael. The Tchum of 12 mil, like the extent of the camp of the Israelites in the desert. So therefore, that was the camp the Israelites had in the desert. Everybody could walk from one end of the camp to the other. So that's Chum D'Oraisa. So therefore says the Yerushalmi, anything less than the Rabbanan. The Rabbanan you're making.
This language halacha, what you see that we said before about the
Safik Cheresh is halacha mashmizeh? It's not here. So it's I know that from the Bavli in Kidiyah and the Kiddushin it discusses it.
problem.
Yeah, same thing. That's what we get paid for. That's why we get paid so little, because people don't like problems, right? Okay, here we go. A person can make a condition on his Eruv. Volman, he says, in Bo Akum min HaMizrach, I gotta flee from the Goyim, but I don't know which way they're going to come. So if they come on the east, Eruvin L'Marav, I want my Eruv Tchumen to be on the west, so I can flee further in that direction. In Bo Me'arav, if they come from the west, Eruvin L'Mizrach, I want my Eruv to be on the east, so I can flee in that direction. In Bo Mikan, what if they come in both directions? L'mokum she'er tzayilech, so then I'll choose tomorrow. Lobo, if I don't come, Lo Mikan, not from here, not from there, I rank in the area, I want to go back to be like the members of my city. Now this is what called in Talmudic lingo, Tanai Kafel. To make a double condition, you have to say, if A, then B. If not A, then C. That's a Tanai Kafel. Double condition. Where do we learn that? How far they have to make a Tanai Kafel? Bnei Gad, Bnei Reuven. At the end of Parshas Maseh,
Matos or Maseh, I forget which one. Maseh, I think. Moshe Rabbeinu says to Bnei Gad, the children of Gad and Reuven, if you go over with the Jews to conquer Eretz Yisrael, you get Aver Yardei. If you don't go over, you don't get Aver, the East Bank of the Jordan. So you have to make a double condition. Otherwise, the condition doesn't count. And that's what the Gemara is going to say. First, the Gemara says a very simple thing. Kili Masnisa, which in the Yerushalmi means Kain Hi HaMishnah. This is the way to understand a Mishnah Eruvav. It says Masa Yedom El Eruvot. That imply only has one Eruv. But he has multiple Eruv in here. He has two. One on each side of the city, depending on which one he needs. So it should be Masa Al Eruvav on both of his Eruvin. It's not just that Tanai had one. That's really just a peripheral point. Now, Amar Abelazar Matana Imbo in Lobo. Who's the one who says you gotta have to double condition? If A, then B. If not A, then C. Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Meir. Hi there, Rabbi Meir. Where did Rabbi Meir make this point? Chevraya, the Chevraya said, Rabbi Meir the Kiddushin. Rabbi Meir made this point in Kiddushin. The time we learned to Kiddushin. If somebody says to a woman, I want you to be married to me, I'm a shiur on the condition that it rains. If it rains today, I'll marry you. Very romantic marriage. If it rains today, I'll marry you. Doesn't rain today, I don't want to be married to you, okay? Yes. I'm not shiur dukshamim. So, you're dukshamim mekudeshes. Bilav in mekudeshes. The rain, she was married, she's valid. If not, it's not valid. So they're a popular song, right? Raindrops keep falling on my head, right? So indeed, the raindrops falling on her head, right? So that's no tonight kafel. Where's the double tonight? Rabbi Meir, Ben Yardu Ben Lo Yardu Mikudeshes. You didn't make a proper condition. So you don't make a proper condition. What happens to the condition falls by the wayside. The Kiddush is valid regardless. Right? Whether it rains or not. Achich bolts no. Unless he says, if it rains, I'm married, we're married. And if it doesn't rain, we're not married. He's got to make a double condition. So too here, he says in our area of the same thing. Hakol Moedim, everybody agrees. Shim Omer Isha. Now here's a fascinating halach. I don't remember this in the Bavli. Very fascinating. Hakol Moedim, Shim Omer Isha Rei Mukdesh Li La'achar Shiur Dukshamim. He said, I only want you to be married to me after the rain rains. After the rain comes down. Mikudeshes, Yonuk Shem Mikudeshes. If it rains, it's Mikudeshes. If you love Adam Mikudeshes, if not, it's not Mikudeshes. In other words, when I do the marriage before the rain, and I make it conditional on the rain, there I have to have a tonight coffee. Is that clear? I marry her now and say on the condition that it rains in the future. There it has to be a double condition for her marriage. If I say I only want to be married to you after it rains, then I don't need a tonight coffee. It's a logical distinction. Because there I made not a post-condition, but a pre-condition. A post-condition, you want to retroactively break a halachic transaction you made by a t'nai, by a condition, that requires a t'nai kofel. The Torah said, fine, I'll give you such a clause, a possibility, but it has to fulfill our parameters. But a precondition, that doesn't have to meet parameters of t'nai kofel. Only a post-condition. Okay? It's a very big chiddush, and I don't remember this in the Bible. Now, the next line is a mistake. It's taken out. We skip a line. Rabbi Yossi Amar. So first we wanted to say this is Rabbi Yossi of tonight. The reason why our mission needed tonight kofel, because like Rabbi Meir says, by Kiddushin required tonight kofel. Rabbi Yossi says, Amar Rabbi Meir the Eruvin. The truth is you don't need a tonight kofel. Tonight kofel you might need by the right, so here you wouldn't need a tonight kofel. We don't learn out from Bnei Gad and Bnei Reuven. You know why I need the double condition here? If A, then B, and if not A, then C. It's for another reason. Because Rabbi Meir, we just learned a few moments ago. What does Rabbi Meir hold to happens if your Erev is not good? You lose everything. You only get the outcomes where you are. That's what Rabbi Meir holds here. You need to cover all bases. Not because of what's learned out of Bnei Gad and Bnei Reuven in the Chumash, but because if you don't cover all bases, you only have Da'at Amos when Shabbos begins on Shabbos. The Tzvin, Rabbi Meir, the Eruvin, the Tzvin learned him Sofik, Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yetzir, Rabbi Yehuda, Meir, Harei Zecham Hargam out. Right? You don't get to move.
Rabbi Yisrael Shomer Safik Erev Kosher Safik Erev it's kosher. Rabbi Yisrael Lo Amar Amer El Chumrin. And Rabbi Yisrael says Amer was Machmir. He said Chamar Gamal means you got nothing. You got nothing. The only way to overcome that is making a condition which overrules that, overrides that problem. Okay, Rabbi Mona said, it's messed up, the Girsa. What?
It's just an unusual way to formulate the chiyuv of the Tanai Kafel is because of whether you end up with a very difficult situation.
True. But that way, the truth is, tonight, it's far more difficult, although the Yerushalmi doesn't go through this and I didn't mention it. It's far more difficult to apply tonight Bnei Bnei Eruvin to Orachaim. The Choshen Mishpat I can understand, because Bnei Bnei Eruvin means I have a transaction with you. So there are certain parameters in which that takes place. But if I have a transaction between myself and God, I need a Tanai Kafel vis-a-vis God, vis-a-vis myself. So therefore, it's much easier to say that there's some other reason why it should be required. Agree? Okay. So it says the Yerushalmi. Ramana said, "V'yos." Did Staka make sense? Oh, it's a mistake. I'm sorry. I told you the gear, so you have to look at carbon Ada here. 4 lines to the bottom. Beruvo eno kone shelo zocholo eruvo because lochlo zochlo eruvo. It's only explained by Meir Shita. Your grave doesn't work for you because it turned out to be no good. Kivnei iro nami lo avo. You're not like the people in the city. Shvanos and dai to lako raglam ibnei iro because you're ready with no sindas to uproot yourself. So therefore, you gotta. The bottom line is, if you want to retain at least 2,000 amos in some direction, you gotta make a specific clause. Says the Gemara. Getting back to the case in Kiddushin, this is talking about a case where you had two people. One person says, "I'm marrying you if it." Marry you. Two men gave her Kiddushin. So he said, the first man said, first man says, if it rains, it's a vow marriage. The second guy comes and says and marries her.
The second one says, after the rain stops, I'll marry her.
No, the second guy makes no condition. No, okay, I got it now. He's trying to say, the truth is, what I said, he says that even by Kiddushin we go to Chumrah. Even by Kiddushin we go to Chumrah. If you didn't make a Tanai Kafel, it's not that we say the Kiddushin is a valid Kiddushin or carte blanche. We go to Chumrah. In other words, the first guy says, Reuben says to Leah, I'm a Kaddish you, I'm not, if it rains today. If it rains, the Kiddushin is a good Kiddushin. Now, a second guy comes along and is Mekadisher before it rains. Then it rains. Okay? It's Mekadisher before it rains, then it rains. So it says, L'rishonein Mekudeshes, Shlo Yard L'Shom, because the rain hasn't fallen yet. It's contingent on the rain. L'Shnein Mekudeshes, the second guy is not Mekudesh, regardless of whether the rain ultimately falls or not. Shlo Kafel to know because Arishos know because the first guy didn't make it tonight Kafel. In other words, the first guy's marriage is really a constant suffix. She needs a get for it no matter what. Since he didn't make it tonight Kafel, so it's not definitely no good, but it's not definitely good either. So therefore, the second guy's Kiddushin is a valid Kiddushin. Misafik. Also Misafik. No, Misafik. She requires to get from both of them. I'm not making the case clear. Let me say the case over again. Let me say a simple case. Forget about what the Korban Eidah says. Let me just make it straightforward. First guy comes to Mekadisher. I'm Mekadisher for rains today. Another guy comes to Mekadisher that day. It doesn't rain, let's say. So in this case, she's Mekudesh to both Misafik.
Because the first guy's Kiddushin really shouldn't be about Kiddushin, but he didn't make it tonight kofel. So he didn't make it tonight kofel, so Misafik it's a good Kiddushin. And therefore the second guy's Kiddushin is also a Safik Kiddushin. Because maybe the first guy's Kiddushin was good, maybe not good. So maybe the first guy's Kiddushin good, maybe not good. So if we don't know to which one she's married, both of them have to issue get.
Is this only according to Meir?
What?
Only according to
Only the Meir requires it tonight kofel. If you don't require it tonight kofel, so then the first guy's Kiddushin is no good no matter what.
He's saying, though, I'm going to be the Kiddush to you. He's not saying I'm going to be the Kiddush to you from now. He's not saying
Which
now.
one, the first or the second?
This guy. So why should the second guy have a problem? Even if he's going to be Kiddush, she's going to be Kiddush.
Oh yeah, you're right. We have to assume it says me'achshav. It says from now. Otherwise, the taka wouldn't be a problem. You're right. In Echanami. Okay, Rabbi Isai, we'll stop here for tonight. I didn't prepare further than this, and the next sugi requires some significant preparation.